Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro Marvel Legends series fan channel exclusive 2-pack of the Squadron Supreme, Hyperion, and Dr. Spectrum. So I got my set from toysnowman.com. They are based in Canada. You can get all your action figure collecting needs, Transformers, Black Series, Marvel Legends, Power Rangers Lightning Collection. You can also get imports like Mafex figures or Joe Toy Warhammer figures, all that good stuff. toysnowman.com, link in the video description below, which is my referral link, which will give you a 5% off coupon code when you sign up for first-time buyers only. So toysnowman.com, make sure to check them out. But that, again, is where I got mine from. They are based in Canada. They tend to get stuff in before a lot of other retailers here in the States, so just a heads up on that. But here we have the Dr. Spectrum figure and the Hyperion figure, and a couple of things that are throwing me off on this 2-pack. Good things, I would say. Judging off of the 3D renders and the promotional images that we had gotten for this 2-pack, I expected Dr. Spectrum to essentially just be the good old Bucky Cap that we know and love sometimes. At times, when it first came out. But there has been a change to Dr. Spectrum. He has pinless arms. Look at that. That is something that I was not expecting based off of, like, even the package. It has the pinned arms on there. But he's got pinless arms. That's pretty cool. And then we have Hyperion. He's got pinless legs as I topple over and drop everything. He's got pinless legs. The 3D render of the package shows pins on his legs, but we got pinless. So if you think about it, we got pinless arms here, pinless legs there. It's almost like a full figure of being pinless. Not quite, not really, not even close. It's just a bit odd. It's just interesting how some of those things happen. You know, when it's happened several times on the negative side where the render shows something better than what the actual figure released is. But here, in this case, the render shows not so good, and we get updated technology. Granted, Hyperion arms, it would have been nice to have gotten it there. And then, you know, Dr. Spectrum would have been nice to get on the legs for this guy. But at least the pins on these figures where they are, they match the color of the part that they're on there. So it's not as, you know, noticeable. Yes, it's still there, and we always prefer pinless, but again, it's not as bad. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at these two figures, and then we'll look at the articulation and things. In terms of the articulation, Hyperion, out of the package, he just has a pair of fists on there, and then we get these open holding hands in addition to those. For Dr. Spectrum, he has these trigger... they're not even trigger finger hands, actually. They're holding hands, but they're the vertical hinge holding hands. So out of the package, he has those two hands on there. I already swapped one out for the open hand, but he has a right and left open hand because then you can hold, actually, this other diamond accessory piece that Dr. Spectrum comes with. And then he has these two magic effect pieces that kind of have a little bit of rainbow colors, so we get some blue and yellow in there. And then we get some pink and green-ish colors here. But now let's go ahead and take a closer look. We'll take a look at Hyperion first. I think that's the one that most people are going to want. Chances are you may or may not have the original Hyperion release, which gave us the infamous Hyperion body mold, which is not a very good body mold. It was used a bunch of times. It hasn't been used in a long time, thank God. But it's just one of those things. But finally we get an update to Hyperion. They are actually, size-wise, they're about the same. I thought Hyperion is actually going to be a little bit smaller. He's not as bulky, sure, but he's definitely got some good size to him, and he's actually taller than the Hyperion body, so the old Hyperion, excuse me. So that is a good thing. But let's go ahead and zoom in on Hyperion and take a look, actually, before I forget. I always got to look at the package because I'm weird like that when it comes to the reviews. But again, we get the two figures, we get the side there. Then you get some side artwork of Dr. Spectrum and Hyperion looking pretty cool there. Back of the package again, focus. You get all the accessories that they come with. And again, even on the back of the package still shows pins on the legs, pins on the arms. So again, nice to see updates there. And then Squadron Supreme up at the top. Okay, so here's an up-close look at Hyperion. And that's a very good looking head sculpt. He's kind of got the mask going on there. It looks like we got some light red and some darker red in there. Digital face print for like the lips and the eyes and stuff. All came out looking really good. I like the way that looks. We get some orange in the hair to bring out some of the texture details of it. Nicely done. The logo there on his chest is painted nice and clean. Then not a whole lot of paint going on elsewhere. So it looks like, you know, the red over here is painted on the arms. So that's applied cleanly. No issues there. But then no other paint. So we just get yellow for the boots. The legs are all red. They are pinless, like I had mentioned before. You know, the arms are not. And then he's got the cape. The cape is kind of free-flowing, except it's glued on here in the front. That's not something that you're going to want to pop off unless you pop the glue. And then I guess you could do it. It is a little bit of a shorter cape, not the longer cape that the previous Hyperion body had come with. So yeah, shorter there. That looks pretty good. And then like the Squadron Supreme are all kind of loosely based off of DC Comics characters. So, you know, Hyperion loosely based off of Superman, and then Dr. Spectrum is actually loosely based off of Green Lantern, and we'll take a look at him here next. But Hyperion looking pretty good. I'm excited to show you guys some of the articulation on here, because the diaphragm cut actually works out quite nice. But now let's go ahead and go to Dr. Spectrum. Okay, so here's an up-close look at Dr. Spectrum and his power prism. There's a little bit of yellow-pink in here to kind of show some color to it. You know, this is what gives Dr. Spectrum his powers. It is a sentient alien gem. It was actually once a scroll that was, you know, punished and transformed into the prism as punishment. But that's where he gets his powers. And again, you know, he's kind of loosely based off of Green Lantern. But here we have Dr. Spectrum. The head sculpt has been used a couple of times. I know for sure it was Eel and Blizzard, and I'm trying to think if there was another figure. I feel like there was another one, but off the top of my head, I really can't pinpoint it. Yeah, I wish I could remember. It's going to drive me crazy. One thing that, since we got the pinless arms, that's really throwing me off, and I was thinking maybe it's because these arms are a little bit smoother in terms of the sculpt, because it's just newer, you know, what the difference was. And I was thinking it was because of the, you know, the different arms themselves. But I think what's throwing it off is, if you look at the shoulders, right, the shoulders are actually blue plastic. So that yellow is painted on, this orange red is actually painted on. And because it's painted, the molded plastic color doesn't match perfectly, and that just, it really stands out and is noticeable. So whether it was standard Bucky cap arms with the pins, it would still really look the same. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. The paint lines are pretty clean on here. So where we meet the blue or the orange and the blue meets, the yellow and the blue meets, where the green and everything meets. It's all pretty clean lines. You can see on the back there. You got to get it to kind of stand up perfectly so it looks normal there. A little bit of white oval right there in the front and on the back. Nothing really going on for the legs, but he does have blue lower legs, and he's got these weird feet. And I'm trying to think of which feet these are. These are some old feet, because this, on the bottom of his right foot, says 2013 Marvel. So these feet are 10 years old. They're not standard Bucky cap, which standard Bucky cap were super tiny feet. Right, as you can see there. And then kind of the updated feet that, like, some figures got, like the Pizza Spider-Man body. It's not that foot, because that foot is a little bit bigger, but it's a wider foot, as you can see. So there's just a big difference there, and I really can't pinpoint what feet these are. And then even like other feet, it's not the same as these ones that you might see on like Spider-Man 2099 body molds. This one's smaller than that. So it's just kind of a weird mashup of all these different pieces from Bucky Cap. Now I'm hoping that this is our final Bucky Cap figure ever. I thought that on some figure recently, and then a few people reminded me, hey, Dr. Spectrum is coming, and that's on Bucky Cap. So hopefully this is the final Bucky Cap figure that we get. One thing I do want to point out is, because the hands have the vertical hinge, they're constantly at this turned in like stance or position, which is really throwing me off. I'm like, I want to straighten that out, but I can't, because it's got the vertical hinge instead of the horizontal hinge. So it's really throwing me off, and both hands are like that. But there we go. So now let's go ahead and zoom out, take a look at the articulation for Dr. Spectrum and for Hyperion. Okay, so articulation for Hyperion. So the head can do a full swivel on there, some pivot a little bit. He can look all the way up, which is good. He can look all the way down. It is on a disc hinge, but we get some good motion going in there. Shoulder, you can get the shoulder to go straight on out that much. He has a very large shoulder shoulder ball there, so only that much, not fully straight out. You can do a full rotation, just move the cape a little bit. You do have an upper bicep swivel in there, and he's got a massive bicep. These arms are even bigger than the Hyperion body mold version. Double jointed elbows gives us that much bend there, and again, they are pinned, wrists swivel, and they do hinge. All hands have the standard horizontal hinge, so the 2 fists and then the 2 open holding hands. No ab crunch on this guy, but we get a ball joint at the diaphragm. No ab crunch. Sorry guys, it's late and I'm tired. I'm trying to think, wait, what did I just say? But anyway, Hyperion can tilt to his left that much. He can tilt to his right that much there. He can go back a little bit. He can come forward a little bit, but I feel like this, this gold piece there hinders it a little bit, but then when I try to like tuck it in, it doesn't really come too far forward, unfortunately. I'm trying to think, if you push that in, can he come forward much? No, still not really. And then you get a swivel at that diaphragm cut. There is no waist swivel on Hyperion. Legs go out that far apart. You can kick forward that far. Legs go back actually just a little bit. You got an upper thigh cut in there. It's a little stiff. You got a double jointed knee, which is a little stiff as well. I'm stressing out some of this plastic. Trying to get this knee. Okay, so that much bend there at the knee. You do get a calf swivel in there, right at the top of or right in the middle of the calf where the yellow plastic meets the red. Foot hinges all the way down. You get some hinge up, ankle pivot, peg holes at the bottom of the feet. His feet are nice and large to keep him stable, which is good. So there is Hyperion. We will move to Dr. Spectrum. So even though it is Bucky Cap, everyone likes seeing articulation in full. Dr. Spectrum can look up. Dr. Spectrum can look down with no issues whatsoever. The shoulders we can get to go straight on out like so. Full rotation in the head too, by the way. Not really any pivot. All the way around on the shoulder. Upper bicep swivel there. I'm worried that the bicep is going to actually scrape a little bit of that shoulder ball and might scrape a little bit of that paint. So be aware of that. Be careful of that. Double jointed pinless elbow, so you get that much bend there at the elbow. Wrists swivel. And the open hands have the standard horizontal hinge, but again, the gripping hands, the C grips, have a vertical hinge on them. So, and that's the same for the opposite. So like the yellow, that is the vertical hinge as well. Ab crunch on Bucky Cap works pretty well. He can crunch forward that much. He can crunch back that much there. You get a waist swivel in there. Legs go out that far apart. He can kick forward that far. Leg goes back a little bit. You got an upper thigh cut in there. Double jointed pinned elbow, because again it is the standard Bucky Cap legs. I'm pinned knee. I know I said elbow. I'm losing it. Calf swivel right at the middle of the calf. Foot hinges all the way down. You get some hinge up, ankle pivot, peg holes at the bottom of the feet. Now these feet are very narrow, so stability wise, it's a little bit difficult. Whereas even with Bucky Cap's tiny feet, I feel like because they were a little bit wider, he felt a little bit more stable and balanced. So these feet are just really, really, really odd why they went this route. I'm trying to understand it, and I just really, really don't get it. Okay, so for side-by-side comparisons, we have the original Hyperion body mold, which wave was this? Was Hyperion in? I'm trying to think. Was it Epic Heroes? No. Was it Hitmonkey? Arnim Zola? I can't remember off the top of my head which wave this Hyperion body mold. The Hyperion figure, actually, I keep referring it to a body mold. Like, this is Hyperion. This was the first figure to use that mold, hence the reason why we call it the Hyperion body mold. It's not a very good body. I really don't like. You can't get the arms to go down so much. The chest sticks out like an insane amount. Just anatomically, it's not really correct. It's just wide and bulky, and not a real big fan. Never been a real big fan of it. And now it seems it's officially retired, as we have a new Hyperion body. a new Hyperion figure, just like Bucky Cap is almost there, retired. We actually have a new Bucky Cap figure itself coming, even though that couldn't be the name of the new body mold. Vulcan, did come out first. But between the two Hyperion figures, you guys let me know in the comments below, which one do you think is better? They really are like two different ones, so you can kind of have two different iterations of Hyperion. This new one is definitely the far more superior figure. The older Marvel Legends like this, the skin tone was a very like shiny plastic and paint that was on there. It just doesn't really hold up to today's standards, even though it wasn't a terribly long time ago. But the new one just all around is so much better and gives off a much cleaner look to him. Okay, so we threw Nighthawk in here so you guys could see some of the Squadron Supreme of America. Really all we need for that team is going to be Blur and Power Princess. Maybe they'll release another 2-pack. It's probably going to be years before you see either of those two getting released to finish out a team. Hasbro likes finishing teams, but they love taking their time to get to it. So one of these days, I'm sure we will get those two. But just a matter of time. But would you guys be interested in seeing a 2-pack of Power Princess and Blur, or do you want to see individual releases, or maybe not a fan of Squadron Supreme, and really in a rush to get either of the figures? You guys can let me know down in the comments below. But anyway, to this 2-pack, it's pretty good. We do get some surprises in there. The pinless elbows for Dr. Spectrum, the pinless legs for Hyperion. Those are nice surprises that we got from it. It's a decent 2-pack. A lot of people wanted an updated Hyperion body, or a Hyperion figure, excuse me. I always just say body with it. And I think here we get a really good release for Hyperion. Decent accessories, even though we don't really get any kind of we don't get much in terms of energy effects or anything like that. We get these for Dr. Spectrum. We get the Power Prism, which is cool. And then they each have an extra set of hands. So not bad. Again, this is a fan channel exclusive release. I think in the US, GameStops are starting to get them. But again, I did get mine from ToySnowman.com based in Canada. Canada gets so many things before the US. It's pretty crazy. So make sure to check out ToySnowman.com. I got a referral link in the video description below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit that join button to become a channel member and be a part of the MCU Collective. And as always, thank you for watching.